When we evaluate a student's work, we may be trying to make sense of what we see on the page. So for example, if a student is solving an equation using the steps that we've taught, however, their negative number operations are faulty throughout, we might start to construct some kind of narrative around, oh, well, I know that Susie's mother was in the hospital last month when we did negative numbers. And so I'm going to cut her a break and just tell her that she mastered this, even though really she's mastered one sub skill and not the other one. What that does is, while that seems on the surface that you're providing some level of kind of empathy and understanding that you're extending towards the student, the part you have to be careful of is that you're using that background information to assess the student differently than what the standard dictates, or than the bar you would hold another student to. And so at the end of the day, that can manifest as low expectations, and Susie may end up leaving your course at the end of the year without having mastered negative numbers because you kind of gave her a pass. And going into the next course without that skill is not doing her any service. So we just have to be really careful to thoughtfully stick to the standard and find ways to bring students around to that level of achievement, even if they have other things in life that happen along the way, rather than kind of giving them a pass.
And I would say to that end, like when I think about assessing something like writing or reading, where it's a lot grayer than maybe math and science might be in terms of some content, because although there are some grammatical structures that are in place, there's a lot of subjectivity in how folks write, right? It's about communication, it's about voice and developing something that's unique to every single child. So when we assess in a traditional way, especially things like reading and writing, a teacher is making a lot of judgments based on small pieces of what they see, and a lot of times it's also based on what they value. So if I'm a teacher who really values like development and thoughtful communication over some of those conventions, I'm going to spend a lot more time thinking about those bigger pieces, whereas other teachers may value smaller pieces and might put more emphasis on that. So that teacher bias of what they value then comes in and disrupts that very objective ability to actually assess how well a student's doing against different content and standards.
If you think about the way that you're assessed in your workplace, no one is printing out a report card for you on an A through F scale that tells you whether you're good at your job and whether you're going to get promoted, et cetera. What is happening is you will have, an evaluation or some kind of an annual review meeting, and you will get feedback from your supervisor, most likely, about what you do well and what you need to work on. And that will be verbal feedback that's articulated or perhaps written down in terms of actionable steps. So rather than saying you did a 98 on your job this year, right? They're going to say you really maintained excellent relationships with your clients, and you had effective communication over email, phone, and in person. And we think you might have management potential, and we'd like you to work towards this potential promotion by demonstrating your leadership ability. That's something somebody can understand and comes with a next step that they can act upon. And so when we give that actionable feedback through standards-based feedback, that gives the students kind of a to-do list of what they're working on next and what they've already mastered, and it puts them back in the driver's seat of their own learning in the same way that they would have some choice and autonomy in their progress in the workplace.
I would just add to that too, that we are helping students learn to set goals based on where they are right now. That's part of what the Mastery Book does. When they could see where they are against a particular standard, they could decide and prioritize which standards they want to be setting goals on, and then have a strategic plan for improving on those particular standards, whether it's content or skill based.